The gentleman from North Dakota, Mr. Kramer, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm from the very north tip of Texas. I'm the only member. It's hard sometimes to be among all these Texans who stick so closely together, but I'm proud to be part of the same cult, I suppose you could say. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being here and how refreshing you are to listen to, Mr. Secretary. It's very impressive, and I love the fact that you have taken center stage on all things energy, realizing there are lots of other agencies that have energy nexus, clearly, but you are providing real leadership, and I appreciate that. And I especially appreciate your references earlier to the importance of the intellectual value chain of all things nuclear. I don't think that can be overstated, so thank you for that, and for the fact that we have acquiesced as a country much of our leadership on nuclear, including the enrichment of uranium, so thank you for that. I want to focus a little bit back on, and to say thank you for your leadership on for searching for a way to properly compensate the inherently more reliable, most reliable sources of baseload electricity. I never cease to be amazed by how little regard there is for having the lights on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year around here. And sometimes I worry, Mr. Secretary, that it will require a crisis for some people to remember how important coal and nuclear are. Thank you for focusing on that. It's entirely appropriate for FERC to take a look at this and give it appropriate value. In fact, I find it rather offensive that some people suggest you're putting the thumb on the scale when the reality is you're just rebalancing the scale. I mean, where have people been for the last several decades who suggest that somehow we're manipulating markets? The whole idea of RTOs is to manipulate markets. That's why we have RTOs. It's not a free market. From the subsidies, through the tax code, through DOE grants and loan programs, all the way to public utility commissions and states who have mandates based on portfolio standards, those are all manipulations of markets. Your responsibility is right. Make sure the lights stay on. So I appreciate that focus. With that in mind, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and I don't need you to answer them today, but I'm hoping you can get back to me on it. In the proposed grid resiliency pricing rule, resources that are subject to cost of service or state regulation, state and local regulation, are excluded. And I'd like to get an explanation as to why. And I'm wondering if what you meant was only those sources that don't participate in a FERC-regulated wholesale market. Because in North Dakota, where I was once an energy regulator, we have these, all of our utilities are virtually, they're either under regulation or they're under regulation by their ownership in the case of the rural electric cooperatives, but they're all subject to rate regulation of some sort. And I want them to be afforded the same economic benefits as a merchant generator, for example. So that's one area I'd like to explore a little bit with you later. I also wonder about the 90-day fuel supply. And I say that because in North Dakota, all of our generators are at mine mouth. They're all but one small one literally coexist with the coal mine itself. So while they may have a 30-day pile next to the plant is next to the coal mine, and there's an 800-year supply. I'm wondering if there's not some adjustment that could be made to understand that. With my remaining minute and a half, though, I need to address something that's been said a couple of times by my friends on the other side of the aisle. They've referenced NERC, as though somehow NERC doesn't support what you're doing. And I pulled up some comments from the NERC folks, specifically the CEO, regarding the concerns that were raised with your order. I'm just going to quote a couple things. Higher reliance on natural gas exposes electric generation to fuel supply and delivery vulnerabilities, particularly during extreme weather conditions. This is from NERC now. Maintaining fuel diversity and security provides best assurance for resilience. Quote, premature retirements of fuel-secure baseload generating stations reduces resilience to fuel supply disruptions. This is not just simply, your heart speaking. This is your experience speaking, and this is NERC's CEO speaking. Here's another direct quote from him. Coal-fired and nuclear generation have the added benefits of high availability rates, low forced outages, and secured on-site fuel. Many months of on-site fuel allow these units to operate in a manner independent of supply chain disruptions. You are entirely appropriate and right to challenge FERC with this, lest we let emotions dictate our policies. So with that, as my time runs out, thank you for your service, and I look forward to following up on the rest of this.
The gentleman's time has expired.